This is Truth Be Told Transformation, and I'm Bonnie Burkert, here to share tools for transformation to live your highest truth. So, one thing that's very true for me is the importance of community. And one community that we're here representing is the conscious community, the conscious media community. And we're very proud to be on air doing this, but there's been a woman that's been really trailblazing for so many years and is a true inspiration to me. And I don't think that I would have ever had the aspiration to be interviewing people about spiritual topics like this if it wasn't for the one and only Lisa Garr. Hi, Lisa. Cheering.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on and for saying that. That means a lot to me. It really does.
No, I mean it truly. And I was really, I jumped at the chance to have you join me on my little show compared to what all you're doing on your very own The Aware Show, on Gaia, on Coast to Coast. I mean, all these other amazing, massive shows that have, again, I'll use the word trailblaze, have been leading the way on people learning about not only just spiritual, mystical, magical topics, but also about wellness. So I know that's so important for you, Lisa, also holistically bringing these topics for how to live a better life. So please let me know sort of how the journey started, and we'll also mention that you're going to be at Conscious Life Expo.
Yes, I am. And it started from an accident, and I don't encourage people to do that, but it was a near-death experience that I had that it changed my whole life. And near-death experiences tend to do that because they open up a part of the brain that you didn't know existed. And I don't know if it is because it knocks the conscious mind so offline that the unconscious mind is just all there is at that point. But it is a truly magical experience. And again, you can do this through Kundalini yoga or through an amazing relationship or a travel or something else. I do not suggest doing the head hitting thing. It doesn't work very well. Yeah, it's a long-term problem. But I guess, through the journey that I've been through after the 2 brain injuries that I've had, I have learned so much about the potential of the brain. And I think it's almost maybe a joke of God saying, hey, I gave you these gifts. I gave you all this potential. You are not using it. I'm going to make you wake up again.
Right.
And that's those common feather brick wall type of things. I've been through a lot of them. And there is definitely another way to live your life and to experience your brain and health and peak performance and all those great things.
So when I was learning, when I was kind of checking out your website, I learned that you're also doing amazing coaching, and you are involved in lots of other projects that talk about brain health. So please, everybody, have a chance to look at theawareshow.com to see what Lisa's involved with. And I just want to say thank goodness you're okay, because it sounds really, really scary. I mean, a near-death experience is very intense. But at the same time, how many stories have we heard of people that it was a true awakening? It's like a rebirth of sorts, right?
Right. And it's all about that. I mean, that was my story, coming from 2 tragic brain injuries to recovering my brain health and overall relationships and everything like that. But that's what I do the coaching on, is your story. What is your story? What is your origin story that got you to where you are now? What happened along the way? I use the hero's journey to kind of map out that road of what are the hills? What are the valleys? What are the turning points? Where did you go into that innermost cave and really say, this is me? This is who I am, and turn and come out from that cave and say, this is the elixir to life. This is what I have learned, and I want to share it with the world. That's what your journey is. That's what your story is. And so I help people discover that story so that it's not from a tragic perspective, but they completely find a possibility in their story, in their origin story. And there's people I've coached that have been through incredible trauma in their life and have sacrificed so much in the name of that trauma. And when they actually realize that maybe it could have been for some type of reason to help others, their lights turn on and their purpose gets ignited and they move through life with volition because there's a reason to live and to help other people, maybe not go through what you went through, but learn that there's another way. And that's what I love doing, is finding people's possibility story. And it's not just the story that got you to where you were. It's the story that's beyond that. What's possible beyond your origin story, and how can you help others? There's actually 3 main points in story coaching that I do. And the first thing is really, it wakes you up to who you are. It really truly helps you discover, oh, this is me. I'm a sum of my life experiences. And every time you tell your story, you heal yourself and you heal the person you're telling the story to, because that person experiences, maybe you've been through a cancer journey and you figured something out and you want to share it with someone else. That's what it really does, is it heals you and heals the other person, and it deepens your purpose. That's what I've seen the most. So say you've been through the cancer journey and you really just don't understand why that had to happen to you. Maybe you helped somebody else learn what you learned that was a therapy that helped you, and that deepened your purpose to start a cancer support group, or to start a women's abuse support group, or something that has, relationships with narcissists support group, that you can help other people learn. There's one of my clients is helping other women learn she's been divorced 7 times. You would think that would be devastating.
Yeah, right.
Her main purpose in life right now is to help women who are getting out of a relationship learn how to financially get on their feet. That's key. That really helps give freedom to people that have otherwise been defined through their relationship, or been told to be defined through a relationship. So that's my passion.
Well, that's great. And I like that. And I'm looking at the story because a lot of times there's some verbiage around, get out of your story, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Because some people are spiraling in, I guess we could say, a negative story, if you will. So you're helping people. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, they do repeat the old story over and over and over again, and you're never going to get a result that way. The best thing to do is to find the possibility in that story, and it's a gem. It's in there somewhere. And I want to ask you, Bonnie, because I don't know, what is your story? What is the reason that you do what you do?
Well, I think that's a loaded question that I would want to answer super perfectly right here online. But I think my story is that I've always wanted to uplift. I always like to find a way to find a lightness in a situation and be, I refer to it as a purveyor of good vibes. So
I love that. But why?
Why? Just because I want people to feel good, and I feel as a business person, separate from my podcast life, I think it aids productivity and it makes it be fun. So you can whistle while you work. And so I like to try to find levity and bring levity to my relationships, whether they're business or personal.
Right. So you are living your purpose as a result of an experience or a story that got you to doing what you do now. You have a driving force in you to want to broadcast this information. And that gets you up every day. It helps you even through the rough times, there's a burden where maybe it's expensive or costly to do what you do, but it really helps you stay the path and do it every day.
Thanks. It's true. Right? And also learning, but there's a certain service component. So for me, I'm happy to be providing a platform for people that are doing amazing work out there, as what you've done, as you have done also with all the many people that you've interviewed, from, Dr. Wayne Dyer to Dr. Reverend Beckwith. So you've had so many amazing people, and you in your early days were also, I would imagine, providing a media outlet for these voices to be heard. Yes, absolutely. And I think doing that in the beginning of the 2000s, we were talking about angels and talking about, Wayne was talking about the power of intention. It was an earlier conversation. I'm so grateful that it is normalized now, that we can talk about psychics and channeling and angels and intention and all of that as a normal conversation. It really wasn't. That was definitely something I wanted to talk to you about. It's so true, because I am somebody that I grew up in the Midwest, so I didn't have a lot of exposure to it. But when I moved to New York in the 80s, it was the time of the harmonic convergence. And I have no idea how I found my way to some big meditation at dawn on, I think it was August 17th, was it 87? Anyway, I was in Central Park with all these people doing things that I'd never done before. I have no idea who told me about that or how I managed to find it. And there are just many, many examples all along the way. And it's so, in other words, I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I took my first yoga class in 1980. We're not going to say how old I was. I was a newborn.
Okay.
As a newborn.
But yeah, that's amazing. Central Park. I mean, in the heart of New York, city, to do a meditation is just great. And that's kind of the frontier that it was back then. And now meditation is a part of corporate culture, and visualization is undoubtedly works, because where you put your attention, where, as Wayne used to say, your attention goes where your energy flows. Your energy goes where your attention flows, either way. And it's become part of our normal conversation. And so many people have done it that we see social proof of it working over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of cool, isn't it?
It is really amazing when you think about it. And always referencing tools for transformation. So in the early days, I think crystals were a gateway tool for me to get to the higher, violet ray, Akashic records study, But I think it all started with like a quartz crystal or amethyst, because I remember when I found out as a little girl that amethyst was my birthstone because purple was my favorite color. Wow. That was huge for me.
Right. You can never tell. Yeah.
So that was huge for me. So where do you think I like to ask this question kind of at the end of a conversation. And yet with you have been in this for so long and watching so many people that are leaders in the world of new thought, of, again, spirituality, but different, higher consciousness. So tell me what you think about the trajectory. I mean, you said early days. It was obscure.
It is needed now more than ever. More than ever. Look what we're going through. Our country is completely divided down the middle. And you've got people that are angry, people that are uncertain, people that are going through a lot of struggle. And if we don't have community, if we don't have people that we can pick up the phone and say, look, I'm scared that this is going to happen, or I'm worried about this. And even in groups like this, conferences, if it's Zoom meetings, or if it's masterminds. I have a mastermind of women and we meet twice a month. And even though they're working on their goals, sometimes it's talking about their lives. This happened to this one particular person, went through cancer twice. And we've got to have community, because it is getting more intense and it is not going to get any easier. So we need the tools to be able to manage and handle the intensity around us. Meditation, grounding, chunking up to a higher level, coming from your highest possible self and not getting triggered, not getting roped into lower density conversations. And that's not a spiritual bypass. Sometimes it's a forgiveness art. They're really saying, look, I see your perspective and I know your perspective is yours for a reason. It doesn't have to be mine. I don't have to agree with it. And to honor another person for their different perspective, as long as no harm is being caused. I think that we've kind of lost that art of being neutral, right?
Yeah.
About things. There's no harm in neutrality. Yeah, it's great to have your opinion, by all means. But there's no harm in being neutral about somebody else's experience.
I think that's very valuable advice. And one of the terms that I was going to use when we were talking about tools was being in the world, but not of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was watching on your website, theawareshow.com, right? Am I right about your website?
Yes.
I looked on your site and it was looking at interviews you were doing, like snippets of interviews you were doing, and you were talking to Panache Desai, and he talked about living from the inside out. I really like that.
There was a recent one that I did with a rabbi leader, Leder, from it's a Los Angeles synagogue. He's one of the biggest LA synagogues. And the conversation was so beautiful. I got so many calls and comments on this. It's on my podcast right now. And he said that and I'm not of the Jewish faith, but he said in the Jewish faith, there is a tendency to not pray to God as a short order cook or as someone that you say, I need this, more of this or less of this, right? It's not like a request to God. In the Jewish faith, it's a request for evolvement. I would like to evolve to my highest self and express the gifts that I have been given. Lord God, how do I do that? How do I evolve to my highest self? And rather than being a request God, it's a evolvement process of prayer. That was what was explained to me. And that was such a great conversation. I've never really looked at it that way.
Yeah, I like the terminology, because it's almost like, I've heard the term petitioning in prayer. Like we're using prayer for petitioning. I'm like,
Absolutely.
I don't want to that's kind of uncool. So, I mean, I personally try to go through my gratitude list before I sort of work on the needs that need to be, I mean, you need to put it out there, right? I mean, you have to you have to have those goals, right?
Well, let's do this for a second. Let's just do a visualization, just to kind of close your eyes and really tap in and get grounded for a second and chunk up to that highest self that I was talking about, that right in the center of your head. And in your mind's eye, connect with your higher power, a higher being, the God of your own heart. And as a collective prayer, can we ask that we as humanity, us individually, can evolve to our highest potential, individually evolve to our highest potential, and to please grant me the knowledge, the pathways, the ease, the flow that can allow me to express my own evolvement and benefiting others and their own evolvement. Praying for evolvement is such a novel idea, just to pray to evolve, to be the highest being that you could possibly be. And people say, I only wish to be the being that my dog sees me to be. Well, maybe we can do that. We can be the highest being that we can evolve to be, so that we can be of service to humanity. And so it is.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Evolvement, transformation, ultimately what we're doing, right?
Exactly.
Cheers. No,
yes.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So, Lisa, one of the reasons that you so kindly agreed to join me on the show here is because we're excited to see you at Conscious Life Expo. Coming up, it's this weekend. For those who are watching the show right away, that's February 7th through 10th in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. So I'm guessing you've gone to this conference many times, as have I.
Yes, it's probably been about 10 years that I've been going to it's such a great, talk about community building event. You're seeing so many like-minded people and great talks and lectures and conversations in the hallways, and it's really fun. It's a really fun event.
So tell us what you'll be doing.
I'm going to be on George Norrie's panel on Saturday at noon, and he's doing a panel on near-death experiencers. And so I'm on his panel that day. And then on Sunday, I'm hosting a health panel, a cutting-edge health panel. And that has to do with, David Wolf is on there, and Sandra Biskin, and great people that are talking about cutting-edge technologies in health. And that is always an evolving topic. So it's always fun to learn about the latest technologies, what's working, what's not working. And it's really also about, getting the body and the brain clean enough so that you can really get to that place of evolvement.
Well, I'm super interested in both subjects for sure. I mean, it's really great. And I mean, working with George Norrie on Coast to Coast, I mean, you must have the exposure to such a wide variety of different speakers that come through to talk. And I'd love to ask your opinion. Truth Be Told originally started more so in the paranormal UFO focus. And then I've brought in more of the metaphysical, yogi, if you will, subjects. And so I'd just love to talk to you about sort of what you think about some of those stories that come through on Coast to Coast.
I am actually hosting Coast again in a couple of weeks, and I'm having one of the documentarians on that is talking about disclosure. And and the congressional hearings, and it's all about understanding we are not alone in the universe. We're not the only species here. And can we connect with these other species? Do they have good information for us? Maybe. Many have. And many have brought back amazing, benevolent feelings. And I think that it's just a matter of widening your perspective to understand that we're not alone, that we're also not alone in our way of interpreting it. There's a huge community out there of people that are interested in this topic. As you know, I mean, the Coast to Coast listenership is millions of people that get to connect in this intimate show with 5 million people every night. And it is how you create community, is by talking about something that is obviously real to so many people.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree, and I'm really glad that you're there, because you bring, I think, an interesting perspective, especially as a woman. Again, I'll use the word holistic that you bring in, because Coast to Coast is great about a variety of different topics. So this is really great. Now, you're talking about community here, but you also made the point about our country being divided at this time. I always want to ask your opinion. I feel like maybe that possibility of life beyond, could that be a unifier for planet Earth?
That is interesting. That's a great point, because it's the one non-divisive topic that I've heard about. I've never really listened to anyone say, oh, definitely, this is, I mean, some might say that this is a bunch of hooey, but it might also be a curiosity conversation.
Right.
It is life beyond this world is a unifier for sure, because we've connected with our loved ones or pets or others that have crossed over. I don't think that this is the only dimension there is, and it gives you a much broader perspective. From my near-death experience, I know for sure that I have experienced other dimensions. And for me, it helps me chunk up in my conversations and really look at things from a top-down perspective and get a better view. It's all about perspective. Everything we do is about perspective. It's how we view things, how we act on things. And the UAP and the UFO conversation is a great unifier for consciousness.
I think
really
so too. I think it's, we were talking about the gateway, a gateway tool. Like I was joking around about crystals in the New Age, in the early days of New Age. But I think right now, I mean, here we are at this, in 2025, and it's all accelerating. We just, with my team here in the studio, we were having a conversation about AI in advance. And I think that it's interesting to find these subjects that maybe work for all.
Yes. And there's a lot of topics around AI that could work for many people in terms of summarizing things and researching, but there's also a lot of things that could be scary around that topic, replacing jobs, replacing human thoughts, et cetera. And there's not a reason for us to take, I think it's a this and conversation. It's an inclusive conversation. You can use AI tools for certain things that you don't want to maybe write and don't want to maybe research on your own. And then you also keep in the human aspect for how to add the human touch to something, how to add love to something, how to add a different dimension to something. So,
well, you're right. And I mean, I won't go too far down this path, but I'm having just sort of this aha as with you, as somebody who is obviously living a life that is accomplished as a business person, but also very, very, very steeped in spirit. Those shortcuts through our AI tools perhaps give us more time to be connecting, watering our plants, playing with our pets, checking in with friends on the phone, or in person, even better. So, right. So I'm seeing a higher purpose to it right now. I'm having this aha.
There could absolutely. I mean, I was just in a meeting. I'm on a board of an organization, and we were having a board meeting about how to change the future of the organization. And so we took all of our brainstorm ideas from everyone on the board and put it into an AI tool, and it came up with some really, really great solutions. And sometimes that works. See, we had to have the meeting first, collaborate first, and then it did kind of the heavy lifting for us. It was kind of cool.
No, it's really, really good to hear. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit. I mean, I feel like I've asked you sort of asked you this already, but I'm going to ask some more. Where do you think we're at with this? I mean, I love talking to you about how you were saying, in the early days, everything was, not everything, certain things were a little bit more obscure than they are now. So an understanding of angels and would be one of the examples that you cited. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about that because I'm just so interested. I mean, this is just something, don't you feel like more people know about this? And can that help us?
It's not a woo-woo conversation anymore. And it's so funny that people call it that. It's a woo-woo conversation. And I actually watched Marianne Williamson go through that in her campaign, that she was called the Crystal Lady, and that it was really unfair because she's a brilliant scholar.
Yes.
And a scholar of history.
And community activist for the longest time, decades. I've been watching that for years. Yes.
What an icon. And that the norm was categorizing her as a crystal lady, which she was being targeted as. And it was an attempt to discredit her. And I think what happened, well, at least what I definitely saw happen in her campaign, were the people that came out and really listened to the truth. And she became very popular with a lot of followers around the truth and a lot of new voters and younger voters, and redefining. I think there's an acceptance in our younger generation of what we used to call crystal people or tree huggers or something. It is normalized now. It is no longer an outlier conversation. It is a part of flow. And you actually even look at it in the corporate culture, and you see a lot of transformational leaders that are doing corporate consulting now. They call it flow. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's law of attraction, flow, peak performance, anything like that. It's all a part of the same conversation. And so I think it is normalized, to be honest with you. And it's no longer out there or weird or woo-woo to be thinking or talking about these topics. I really have seen over the years more and more conversations on even mainstream media being about quality of life, about manifestation, about, they call it goal setting maybe, and I don't even want to say they call it goal setting. It can be called goal setting. And it's something that people are finding is working because we're in a big pivot point as humanity. And the people who are the light workers of the world are starting to lift humanity one person at a time. And I think we need to stay on that path.
That's so great. And by the way, you have helped on this very subject so very much. I hope you realize that because you're still in it and on it. You maybe don't have a chance to pull up and say like, oh my gosh, this path that I have been on, how this has really opened the doors in such an amazing way. I mean, one of the ways I think out it, everybody's like so stoked when it's the full moon. And they call it, it's the full flower moon in Leo, and I'm like, that's like on the news now. It's incredible.
The red moon and the the new moon. I mean, it's great because you hear about a lot of this now. And it is, people just want to look and believe in something greater than themselves. Yeah. And I say, believe in yourself first, and then you can look for something greater than yourself.
Super, super valuable. All right, Lisa, I know you're traveling on your way back to LA. We look forward to seeing you super, super soon at the expo. And, thank you again for all the work you've been doing. I failed to mention Hay House. You're on Hay House Radio as well. So there's so many different places to hear you. And again, the wealth of wisdom that you have shared as well as assembled through all the different speakers that you've met with. I mean, truly, you are a legend in your own right.
Oh, so my gosh, I've not. Thank you so much.
No, I mean that in all sincerity for sure.
And our podcast, you can listen to it anytime, the Aware Show podcast, and share that with friends. That's one of the best ways to reach out. I love that when people, and I always ask, if you hear something there, share it with somebody else because you're inspiring another person.
Yeah, I think that's great. I really appreciate that. Thanks for your time for sure. And again, have a very successful expo and we'll see you there.
Thank you. We will see you there.
Thank you. Namaste, Lisa.
Namaste.
So everyone, this has been a really fun. Again, I'm getting to meet one of my heroes today. So thanks for letting me be a fangirl with you on that. It was really great to talk to Lisa Garr again. She'll be at Conscious Life Expo. That is this coming weekend in Los Angeles, the 7th through the 10th. And so there's going to be, we've had quite a few different speakers that are going to be there on our show. So take a look at our past episodes to know what all's been happening. We are Truth Be Told and Truth Be Told Transformation. Tony Sweet is on Fridays at 3 p.m. live. So be sure to catch him and come and say hello to the community. Robert Hensley is also back doing all kinds of interesting shows, rewilding and learning what it's like to get back to nature. And we're here again with tools for transformation to help us live our highest, best life. And thanks for listening. And I hope that you'll share this with others. And until the next time, shine on.